on, family? So I'm going to pick up one of my favorite people. All right, you see this right here? It's love time. All right, we're going to pick up the Lovepreneurs, the D's. All right, these are my people. So let's go get them. Let's see what this story is about.
I got Hitman on the beat. School out.
Secure the bag with 1017 Scoochie.
Scoochie.
Yeah, Puerto Rico, East Atlanta.
Yeah.
Well, Miami.
Go.
My money machine go beep, I love the sound that it make. Plus all these racks I'm count, I think that my machine bout to break. Secure the bag, yeah, that's the brand, and we get to the bag. These private flights, Miami nice, these Gucci bags full of cash. So when they swear from Puerto Rico, we go hard for the cheese. It's all legit, we making grip, they think I'm still selling keys. I just Cartier my eyes, cost by G's just to see.
What's going on, family? We got another Money Mondays coming back at you. And of course, we're coming with another special one, couples edition, all right? You know, I got my queen with me.
That's right.
And then, of course, I got a really great group of friends right here that just, I love these people. I'm gonna let them introduce themselves because they're so dope and you need to know what they do. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, my name is Diane Walker,
Demetrius Walker.
and we are Lovepreneurs. We are real estate developers in the city of Philadelphia and Miami. And during our process of dating 14 years ago, we realized that as we build homes, we were also building each other. And during that process, it was tough. And we realized that as couples, we needed to create a platform to support that because I now understand why there are so many divorces. And as we're building our businesses, building our relationship, and now with 2 children, building our family, we needed to create systems and principles so it doesn't fall apart.
Beautiful.
I love that.
Beautiful.
Yeah, she pretty much said a good deal of it. Now, in between, there's a lot of systems and principles and things that we realize have worked for us.
Right.
And not only business, but in a relationship, and how important it is to make sure that you're on the same page with both. You know, a lot of people look towards building success, but you got to make sure that your success is just as great at home as it is outside in the field. So that was important to us.
Absolutely. That means a lot to me as well because, as you all know, I went, going through a divorce myself, and that was the thing that pretty much ended it. It was 2 separate, people living, separate lives pretty much. I call it roommate situation, and you have to, one of the things that we really honed in on is, hey, can we do this together? Not the love part, not the sex, not the, do you look good, do I look good? It's like, no, do you want to build, and can we build together? And starting on that foundation just, took us to a point where, I ain't going nowhere.
There you go.
No, I love that because we were having a conversation earlier and it was about really knowing your partner, how they think, and really respecting what they do. And I think one way that you do that is really being involved or engaging in what they are doing. And I know sometimes with business, it causes this rift in the relationship, but a lot of times it's because each person is not even involved in each other's business. And I feel like if you're not involved in what your partner is doing, you don't have that level of respect, right? And so it was very important for me to come in and understand exactly what he was doing and plug in my skills to figure out how do we continue building this and growing this. And even with him being vegan, I embraced it so much because it allows me to respect his health, his lifestyle, and I wanted to be a part of that because I'm that can only benefit me. And so we just had this mutual respect because we were willing and open to get to know each other and want to engage, in each other and what we were doing. And I feel like a lot of couples don't do that. So with you guys, did you all start like that? How did you all get to the place that you are now?
So I would say early on, me having a background and history that I have, dealing with people and dealing with women. What I realized with my wife was that she brought something different to me than I was used to. And I tell single women all the time, you have to be different. If you have if there's a certain type of man you're looking for that's in a certain success level, whatever your qualifications are, you want to make sure that you bring something to the table that's going to be different than what they're used to. That's the fastest way to grab a man's attention. Be different.
Absolutely.
You know, whether it's in your look, what you say out your mouth, the way you're processing things, and the way you're able to add value and help him is very important. And so just a quick story where my wife was different. When we started dating, I'm a guy, I know what I want my woman to look like. So I'm a guy, I'll go to the mall and let's go shopping. I want to see you in that. Yeah, try that on. Yeah, we good, let's go. She was the first woman that didn't allow me to take her shopping. I'm like, come on, let's go to the mall, you know, get you a couple of things. She actually told me no. So that was different for me. I'm like, what woman says no to free shopping spree? And she stood on that. She was serious about it. So that was one thing that was like, okay, this one's a little different. I'm gonna have to explore a little more into her world, you know, and not just worry about my world. And so another thing, in Philadelphia, I have an auto body shop. And one time she came with me to the auto body shop. It's our first time there. And I had to go in the back and deal with my guys for a problem that they were dealing with. And so I left her up front of the office. And when I came back up front of the office, this was only like 25, 30 minutes. She had my office spotless, files in order. Everything was clean and cleared up. Bathroom spotless. Like, I never had any woman come and do that in my business, knowing that it wasn't her business, right? So that was another thing that was like, okay,
I was sowing the seed.
This one was
That's right.
this one was different. And then when I took her home to meet my parents, which I gotta really like you to get to that point.
Right.
And it was around the holiday time, around Christmas. And so my dad was in his house, decorating his house, and my mom was cooking. Well, she came in, jumped right in. Like no reservation, just jumped right in. Started helping my dad with the Christmas decorations. She then switched gears and went in the kitchen with my mom and started helping my mom out. And what I realized is that what she was doing was finding out what culture I was used to. So that was wisdom to me, and I identified it right on. She went in the kitchen with my mom, not just to talk, but to find out what she was cooking, understanding that I was a single man and I was used to my mom's cooking. So she had to learn my mom's style of cooking. She had to learn who my dad was, knowing that that was who I looked up to. So it was just things like that that was just different, that kept me engaged. Because if it wasn't for that, you know, I probably would have been going on to the next, you know.
Now, I was raised single parent though, so it's one of them things where I wasn't taught to do this, and I just
Same.
Yeah, so it's not like, oh yeah, strategically let me find out. I strongly believe him and I both were at a place spiritually, individually, as we started dating, that I just didn't want. I came out of a 6-year relationship. I didn't want the same thing. I'm not repeating this vicious cycle. 6 years was enough wasted time for me. And not that I was looking for marriage at all. It's not even conversations we had at the time, but I just wanted to be intentional. So I do believe that our relationship started with a very spiritual foundation, unknowingly. I think because we were seeking individually, God was kind of just molding our thoughts, our feelings, what we were attracted to, what we were no longer attracted to. And I think that is what formed our foundation. So I don't think that those few months starting off was intentional at all. I think that we just was looking for something different. We prayed about it, and it was happening, and we were obedient to that feeling. Another thing you touched on is important. I want to speak to the men that have power, right? That are powerful. You know your vision. You know what you want in life, and you say, "Well, I tried with women. They don't want to help," or whatever the case is. You know, my husband, like he mentioned, he wanted to take me shopping, and he knew what he wanted. The thing is, with a powerful woman, you can't create her. Like she is. And you have to figure out how to bond it, how to bring it into one another. So this notion of, well, now that you're here in my life, let me create who I want you to be. She's not one that you will manipulate and control. If anything, let's set a game plan together on how we can do this as a team. You want her to look sexy, great. Don't say, here, I want you to wear this now. Instead, it's like, you know what, babe, that looks good on you. Oh, you like that one? Okay, like, yeah, let's do that color. And little by little, it kind of becomes what it's supposed to become. But this power, the power that you guys have, it's not a control factor. It's let's do this as a whole, as a unit together.
Absolutely.
And let's build off of it.
So then, the question for you two, you know, when you finally find that woman that's different, that makes you like do the head tilt, like How do you respond to that coming from like the women that you dated before? Like, how do you change up your strategy and your approach to say, okay, this may be a keeper. Like, how am I going to approach this different?
I think for me,
That's a good question.
it was a culture shock. So it's like now I have to now switch up my strategy and learning that this is something different than I was used to. And like she said, she's not somebody that I have to create. You know, a lot of time us as men, it's like a lot of women, they're looking to become, right? But they're only going to become if they become through you.
Right.
Yeah.
Where I recognized she was different. She came with her own power. Like she was already her own superhero, right? It was just me now to understand her world and bring out the best of those things in her as as having her superpowers.
Right.
Absolutely.
And how she could accommodate my superpowers. So it's like now we superheroes in our own right.
That, yeah.
And I like the way you guys said earlier how you decided what you needed to do to get in his world and his in yours. And that's one of the principles that we talk about quite often. Is one vision, different positions. And you know, one house divided will fall.
Right.
Yep.
And that's where division happens, which winds up in divorce.
Right.
So that's a good example of exactly that
I like
principle.
that. I know.
That's a good one.
You know?
Division ends up in divorce. I like that. That's good.
And it's the same thing even in business.
Right.
You know, people don't think about it. It's like a marriage. If you have a business partner and you have two visions that should be one, like we can have one vision and play two different positions in that vision.
Yeah.
But the moment that we feel like both of our visions has to be superior over the other, that's when division happens.
Right.
Yep.
And businesses fail that way. So it's the same thing on the business side and also on the love side.
And you get what you put out of it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, for me, I think one of the things I did, I actively do every day, different when I got this lovely thing here, is she created a comfortable space for me to be proactive in my actions as far as the things I know she wants. Like there's things as men, especially men who've been in relationships, we know date night is a thing, right? We know that. Like, yeah, you know you got to do your date night, bro. Come on, right? But she creates an environment to where it's like, shit, I want date night too. Like, where you at? You know, let's get dressed, let's go out. You know, I want a date night because it's fun. It's something that I'm looking forward to because I know there's not something negative on the outside, right? Or when I get there, it's like, you know, it's like, no, I enjoy the conversation. I enjoy it because you've created that environment, which is why she was different, you know. And it's, you know, and it's like that pretty much every other like aspect of our relationship. I know texting on the phone and, you know, handling business, I could do that for 24 hours a day. Right. I can stay up, boop, 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 boop. I got emails, I got this, I got that. But it gets to a point where it's like, I start thinking, I do want to hang out with her because she's fun. Like she's created that environment. I'm like, and I know she actually wants me to get off this phone. Let me sit the phone down, right? So for me, it's just always being proactive and knowing that, okay, let me think proactively because I know when I get there, it's going to actually be good. So that's been real good for me.
Appreciate that.
I love that. So what we have, we created a 10-step 12 secrets to becoming a power couple, right? Because it is something that could be learned.
Right.
It's something that a lot of people individually have no idea that if I have a partner that I can be proactive with, that I can have dreams with, that we can build a business together, that multiplies my income. Like there's a value in having a helpmate, having a partner, having someone that doesn't mind hustling with you and having date nights with you. And one of the 12 secrets is that date night, how important it is. Not only to get you away, but I'm sure during those date nights, there's creative conversations.
Absolutely.
There's like, oh, how about we start this? And then you actually still working one way or another. Even if you do refresh and you do stop work, because as they say, if you're constantly working, you're not making money. So you need a break away from it to generate, to refresh the thoughts. So those 12 secrets are very important because it does keep you aligned And one of our other things is the ABC rule in a relationship. You know, the A for alignment. The B, you have to believe in it. You know, if you guys didn't believe in each other in the business, would there be something?
Right.
Yeah.
You know, see consistency. You have to be consistent, like you mentioned that earlier. Being consistent in your relationship and how you love. You know, the discipline. You have to be disciplined in this. This is not for the birds, for the pigeons, as I call it. You have to be diligent as well when it comes to that. And I mean, if you don't follow these things, you fail. The relationship, you know, that's the F. It just fails. It does not work. So it goes as simple as the ABC rules for the relationship, but it's important to follow those systems.
Yeah. So I asked the guys the question, but I know that we, you know, are very strong women.
Good.
I know. And it's interesting because I know, as far as my personal growth, I've come a long way from being that woman who's like, I don't need you, I can do for myself. I was also raised by a single mom, so I had that very independent mindset. And I've gone through situations where I was so strong-minded where I bumped heads with my partner. And when I got, you know, to Tay, like, things just seemed different. Like, he made me want to like back down. He made me want to submit, and that was because he also was willing to submit as well. It was just, we were just aligned and equal, and he positioned everything where like I felt like I didn't have to be that person all the time. Like, he made me kind of like find that balance or want to find that balance. But I do feel like us women can, you know, challenge our partner in a way, and I had to learn to grow from that. And luckily, by the time I got to him, I was ready to be in that position. But even thinking about you, like, how did you make your progression to like being here and being able to submit to each other? Because I'm like, we the same. We talked about this.
I am still becoming.
So what's the journey?
Well, just know that it is a journey. It's no destination, and like being okay with that. Like, especially for the man, understand that you have a powerful woman. Embrace that, right? But there's those principles and systems. Like, one of his is, I used to have a potty mouth. Oh Lord, did I curse every other word? And not only am I aggressive in my speaking, I am very direct. Now there's curse words behind it. Lord. And he's be like, you know, a lady doesn't have to always say the F word. And I'm like, really?
Leave it to Tay.
That's right. I got that.
I'm like, I don't know. I never thought of saying that sentence without the F word. It's not the same.
Right.
You know, so little things like that, you start building up to it. And, you know, not saying, he wasn't like, you can't curse. You know, it was just like, just think about it. You know, maybe DMX every day isn't a good idea. And it's like, really? There's other stations? Like, what? You know? It's like, there's a spiritual still station. Oh, okay, yeah, put that on. That's vibe, you know? So, like, it's those little things that start calming down the aggressiveness that comes behind the power, right? And I do believe that the gift is that I have power, and then when it's ready to defend and attack, you know you got your wife to be able to do that for you.
Yeah.
The curse is that I shouldn't be doing it to him. You know, we're on the same team if we're trying to build this together. And I love what you said about submission, and it seems like that's a curse word nowadays. I'm not submitting to him.
Right, it is.
And it's like, how are you, first of all, if you're in the space of building your brand and a business, you know what submission is because you do it in your company. You know what I mean? Like, you, as a whole, you're a team. You're submitting to each other.
Absolutely.
So it's one of those things. For fine, don't look at it as submission, but looking at alignment. What you do for me, I'll do for you, and you know, whatever respect you need, I give, and vice versa. Let's just be on the same page. Just submission seems to be an uncomfortable word for a person, but it is a becoming for me because, I mean, I have a revelation like 5 years ago. My guns were out all the time. You know, being raised by my mom, single parent. My biological dad was abusive. We moved from Miami, moved up to New York, then Philadelphia. My mom and I was just us rolling. And we went from homeless to motel to a duplex to a home. And even in that process, seeing her just fight for just being able to purchase a home for her and her daughter. And not having a man say, can I offer you $30 for my daughter? So that's a fight. And you're fighting all day long. And when I met a man that is like, I got you, you don't gotta fight. He's like, oh no, my guns on my hip is cool. You ain't got I'm cool with my fight. You ain't got to fight for me. And it was a battle for him. It's like, I got you. Like, trust me, I got you. And what I realize, and why I say it's a journey, because at every level of our success or our mindset shift, there's a new revelation of put the guns down.
Yeah.
The guns is not down just that one time.
Yeah.
It's a process. And every situation is like, oh, here either. So like now we're kids.
Yeah.
Oh, you got this, so I can put my guns away. So just understanding that if you have a partner that is willing and able, allow him to be that, or allow her to be that, and giving that space and that growth for both to become in that right. But that's definitely, it's my mouth and that's definitely my downfall. I mean, it's that power.
I
But
can relate.
yeah, but as long as, I feel like as long as he keeps me busy with the visions and the goals and what we're doing next, my power diverts to that.
Yeah.
The moment I'm too comfortable or we're not taking enough risk, it's like, all right, come on, I'm getting antsy. What we doing now? The power's starting to shift in other areas. So it's a becoming for me always, but it's a very great feeling when you have a partner that has consistently showed you, I got it, I will figure it out.
Exactly.
Calm down.
Exactly.
The thing though, is that us women, the women that you're describing, me, you, we tend not to want to let the control go. Now that's a whole nother problem. Because you want to have control all the time.
Not with you. That's why you're here. That's why you're here.
And there's different levels to that.
Yeah.
You know, we were able to overcome that in our relationship, just when we were dating, when we were starting the business and the other business and the next business, and then comes kids and it's like control there, and then comes another business, like control there. So again, the becoming, being okay that it's a process, it's a journey.
Yeah.
If a person changed, they're not gonna like, okay, you changed forever, you're done. They're cautious of it. They understand that there's a change and there's a shift and it must become so. Yeah, that would be my my change.
I love that.
on that.
So you all work with a lot of different couples. So you've seen a lot of different dynamics, right? What do you feel from the receiving end of talking to so many couples is like the biggest disconnect, like overall?
Definitely communication.
Communication, yeah.
Definitely communication and information. I believe that a lot of couples wind up not succeeding due to the lack of the right information, being exposed to certain things in a relationship. And people don't realize the importance of having coaching in every area of your life. If NBA players and NFL players who are the great of the greats have to have a coach, why do you think you don't? And so a lot of relationships end early because there was no coach.
Right.
Yes, you were talented, you just didn't know where to put the talent at to create success. You can have talent and use your talent every day and wind up nowhere. It's not until you get a coach to say, oh, wait a minute, you just a little to the left a little bit and you'll never miss a three-point shot. And so that's what the main problem we see. Most couples, they don't feel like it's necessary, or it's one or the other. It's one person in a relationship that wants the coaching and the other one is like, I don't need that. What I need that for? I'm successful already, can't you tell? And it's like, you might be successful in one area, but this other area, you need a little help.
Absolutely.
So communication definitely, and it's connected to everything. Communication is kind of like the heartbeat of a relationship.
It is.
It's connected to everything. And so if you don't have that right, it's going to kind of be, you're not going to be able to succeed at every other area. So that would be, that leads to financial issues, that leads to trust issues, that it leads to everything. So I would say the biggest thing has been the communication piece and the lack of coaching.
Yeah, I agree with that. I believe that particularly in the dynamic that we speak with couples when it comes to entrepreneurs or inspired entrepreneurs, the one thing is not understanding how to incorporate their visions as one. So, which has everything to do with communication. So if I have a vision, I want to do my thing, I want to do my business, and you run your business. And it's like, it's not going to work that way if you're going to be under the same house. One way or another, you guys have to bring that in all together into one. Because what happens is that division starts happening and you start having interest over there, and then come to find out so-and-so cheated because they spend majority of their time over there. and this one doesn't care anymore about what's happening there, so they don't want to be associated with it, and it becomes this whole big thing. So we get that a lot when it comes to couples. Like, it's just, he doesn't care about my business, and well, he doesn't care about mine either, and it just becomes this whole big thing.
It's funny you say that. So essentially that, I don't talk about it a lot, but I was planning on kind of opening up about it today. That's kind of how my divorce came about, because in my previous relationship, because that was the divide, and it got to a point where it's like, hey, I got a dream, and it's like, hey, well, this is where we're going though, and it's like, well, I don't want to go that way, and ultimately, like you said, the division ended up in the divorce, and it was because I got to a point where I was making so much money that I could almost do anything, right? I could compete with the business she was working for, pretty much. And it's like, hey, come on over and work with me, and let's build our family business instead of you continuing to help them build theirs. And she's like, no, like, I don't want that, and that whole fear came from lack of control, or feeling the losing of control. And that was something that, I noticed a lot of women have, a problem with. So when I saw this one come in with no, not having that problem, I just went, okay, that's a little different, because you rarely see a woman who has her ish together, right? She's doing it already. You rarely see them come in with that guard down. Like, hey, I'm not afraid. I'm okay. I don't think you're gonna control me. Let's do this. Let's build. And that, that was really important for me, and she knew that. She really did a good job with that, because it was a weak spot for me, because it's like, hey, I'm not here to control you, right? And to be honest, anybody, and I this is an entrepreneur podcast, and I gotta say this: anybody who's working a job is controlled.
Period.
Right?
About that.
That's why we want to be entrepreneurs, so we take control over our situation, over our family, over our lifestyle. So that meant a lot to me, for her to come in and really have that understanding and self-awareness. So I just want to say I appreciate you.
Yay. That's really important. And even those that are single, that are dating, I mean, the moment you have this foundation, like, you're prepared for this, you should be dating towards it. If you know what your vision and goals are, the person that you are as your partner, choosing as your partner, it's important, because that's your CEO, that's your business partner, regardless if they're in the same industry with you or not. You have to envision where you're going, so you have to date also within that vision.
Right.
That's important, because if you have the wrong person, then y'all gonna separate. Y'all don't have the same goals, the same plans. You gotta talk about that. Forget the wedding and all that. Let's talk about where we're going.
Right.
Absolutely.
What's your goals, and would I go that route with you?
And that has to start at the beginning. Like, so many couples, they start off like, you meet somebody, you exchange information, you start talking on the phone, talk for a little bit, then you have those overnight conversations where it's 4, 5, 6 in the morning. It's like, oh my gosh, we're still talking. Then you start going on dates, you're dating. If that starts going good, then you start meeting each other's families, and then before you know it, you're moving in together, or deciding that you're going to get married, and it just keeps going on. And what we speak about to couples a lot is the power of agreement, right? And how important that is to start up front. You got to have that agreement. You got to have some of them hard conversations up front, where it's like, what are you looking for? What would you want from me as a partner, and vice versa. And let's have an agreement, just like in business. Absolutely. You start a business, you want to have agreement on what this business is going to do, what we're looking to do, what position you're going to play, what position I'm going to play. And it needs to be the same thing in a relationship.
Absolutely.
So you can give your partner a chance to say, I agree to that, or I don't. I don't.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that, because something we really dove into starting out was, because I've always felt like people who get into relationships often put love first. Like, oh, I love you, so now we should get married. And I honestly think it's the reverse. Can I build with you first? Yeah. And then we'll grow the love, right? The love will come if I can actually build with you. And that was something that I noticed we had. It's like, hey, what are you looking to do? Yeah. I'm looking to do that too. Empire? on 3. You know, 1, 2, 3. Let's go, right?
Absolutely.
Seriously. And that was like a big game changer because I have to tell, so with my group, Secure the Bag, I'm always helping a lot of like men and women who are doing this financially, and they're asking me questions about this, and that's the first thing I tell them. I said, listen, as somebody who has a little experience, I want you to know, can you build first? That's the first thing.
Absolutely.
Because honestly, to sign a paper and say we're married, that has nothing to do with love. That is a business contract. Right? So for me, that was huge. And so hearing you say that, that just signed, sealed, and delivered it.
So one of the things with us that we used to joke around before we even knew that, we did it the right way. But again, like I said, we were really being guided beyond us at that time. So I worked a 9 to 5. I just graduated from Temple University. I'm a consultant now, and him and I started dating in 2007. And I'm waking up at 6 in the morning, gotta be out by 7:30. He just has to make a few calls, meet a few people. He'll meet me for lunch later. I'm like, how do you have all this flexibility? And I have to go to this dead job. I'm like, I want to do what you're doing. Like, what you got going on?
Put me on.
Right. And, he would be like, maybe getting it all the time. He was like, okay, laugh about it. I'm like, no, I'm serious. I walked across the street, came back, and here's like $10,000. Like, I want in. I hear about these investments and you flipping money and all that stuff. I want to do that. And he looked at me like, you serious? Like, yes, I'm serious. And we started building businesses before thinking about, this can be my husband. I just felt like, whatever, we gonna ride this out. Like, I'm gonna learn everything what I need to learn. Let's do this. And I don't know, there was a sexual attraction there already. There was, he's a fine man, so it wasn't, but I just love the fact that, wow, like we can like do this together, not knowing that this is a power couple thing, or what we call it now, a Lovepreneur. So, yes, building, I couldn't agree with more. Building, knowing how to build, and knowing that you have a partner that supports you. Because that may be the gift of one, but is it the gift for the both of you guys? And we get that a lot too, where he doesn't know how to support me, or she doesn't know how to support me. And that's something too that could be learned. But there's things that it's not a gift. I wasn't born with knowing how to support you. So you have to learn that. And another thing I always tell couples too, what are you bringing to this table? So if we're all sitting here at this table and, I want to date, first it's like a job. I'm coming to a job, and I'm coming with a resume. And I'm telling that job, this is all I can offer. So it wouldn't be any different, this dynamic of a relationship. I'm speaking to entrepreneurs or people that are building their brand. This is very specific to you. It's like, who you're dating, come with your resume. Let me see who you are. What role would you play in this empire that I envision to have? And that is important to know, because if that person's coming in and they don't know themselves and what they have to offer,
oh my goodness.
Now that may be a build-a-bear. We got to figure out, how to get there. It may not be a bad thing. That may be a good fresh start. But what can you bring to this table that will help? Or if not, during this process of building, it's going to be very frustrating.
It is.
And there's going to be a lot of division.
Oh my gosh. Yes. No, but I totally agree with that, because, we were great friends for years. And you guys know, we told you, we had never dated before and never thought about it. And so we were just very supportive of each other in business, and then basically found out we had the same goals. And eventually we were like, I'm trying to build an empire and go to the top. You trying to build an empire and go to the top? You want a carpool? That's literally what we did. And it was like on the ride in the car, we started really getting to know each other. And like, I like you for real. Like, you cool. Like, now I love you. So it's been a great journey, but I do feel like if you flip it, like you said, sometimes that's the the better thing to do, because love cannot conquer all. I just don't believe that.
Love don't pay the bills.
Oh, I say it all the time. Love is not enough.
Love is not enough.
A big booty is not enough.
Oh my gosh.
Bankroll is not enough. A nice car, fancy house,
Absolutely.
that is not enough.
Absolutely.
If you guys don't share common interests, common values and goals, and you have a vision and businesses you want to build and an empire, that is what's going to sustain those times where like, or same him to me, woman, what are you talking about? You know, you fall in and out of love so many times that you, and you're becoming and you're changing. It's like, what is going to be that fuel to keep you going and keep it refreshed and alive? So that's definitely, if that's so important, if nothing else.
It's like, you know, when whatever industry you're in, if you got a business in whatever industry, there are times that the market's up and down.
Yep.
And it's the same thing in a relationship. There's times where love is going to be up and down. Now, the most successful people in business are the ones that understand how to still build in the up market and also in the down market. And that's the way you gotta put your relationship in the same category. How do we make it when the market of love is up? How do we still build and become successful when the market is down? And other things have to show up than just love in the midst of it.
I call that the blue chip. You know, and again, speaking your language, and that's the same with a relationship. All right, you know, you want to ride other ways, cool, but I'm with the blue chip. I just want slow and steady.
It's funny you say that, because I was actually about to mention that about our story, where it made me on a spiritual level. You know how some things are kind of like a feather saying, "Hey, go that way," but it's so light. You're like, "Is it telling me to go this?"
Yeah.
And then some things are like, "Go that way."
Smack you right in the face.
Hey, what are you doing? Why are you not going that way? And one of the things, or a few things with her, was that, you know, that common interest of building, but more so when she's like, "Hey, I see you do stocks. Like, I am trying to do that, right?" And that's what got my attention. I was like, okay, you know, let's try it out. You know, do your thing, and didn't think anything about it. But then it just kept growing and growing. And one day, you know, we finally kind of got to a point where we could hang out. You know, of course, we were already friends. And she's rummaging through her, you know, things, and I see a purple book. And it's a Robert Kiyosaki, you know, Rich Dad Poor Dad book, you know, right? And I'm like, wait a minute, what is that? And she's like, oh, like, I've read all of his books, like pretty much everything he came out with. I love this. And it went, and that was that smack, like, what are you doing? Like, this is her. Like, go, right? Yeah. And you know, I'm stubborn, and I appreciate the ancestors in the universe for continuing to feed me, and you know, because I'm still kind of like, is it though? Is this right? And then she goes, I eat whatever you eat. Like, you vegan? Let's do this together. And I went, oh, I've never heard that before. And that was that smack. I went, okay, stop smacking me. I get it, right? But no, I love that. It's that one thing that you can say, hey, no matter where the love is, can we do this in the up market? I love that. Up market or down market, can we continue to build? And I absolutely feel like that's what we have. So, yeah. You
know, what's important about this dynamic here is being surrounded by other like-minded couples as well. Because at the end of the day, it's not perfect.
Right.
You know, no relationship is perfect. And during that process, with this dynamic, not only are you fighting the business markets, but you're also fighting your markets, right? And so it's one of those things where if you have other like-minded couples that continue that support and that example, and when things aren't necessarily perfect, you're like, oh snap, you're going through that too. She giving you hell about that too, yeah, cause she tripping. But it's a different, cause it's not couples that are willing to give up on each other. It's just, we're being couples. Right. Things are happening. What's up? The men come together, and you know when the men are coming together, you're not saying, all right, let's go to a strip club. You ready? No, they're about to business. I mean, we came down here when the interview, but we're also, you know, flirting with the idea of building here in Puerto Rico. And Tay was like, I'm in, let's do it. And when you're around other like-minded individuals that are thinking like you entrepreneurial, that are thinking like you success, and, you know, not necessarily, I want a whole bunch of women, do you, okay, so let's go figure that out, leave our wives here. Like, it's not, you know, you got to be around other like-minded, like valued people that are just willing to want more and want to be around the best and the greatest. So that's another key and another hack for us that contributes to our success. 10 years, 14 years dating, 10 years together, 13 years in business together, and counting, and just in love with each other, with the business, our family. And again, I'm not saying all this because of perfection, but I'm saying this because there's systems and principles that have worked for us that could be applied over and over again. We've seen it. We've seen the success of it. So
absolutely.
So we know success leaves clues. And it's the people that don't mind leaving those clues that become even more successful. You know, a lot of times when people find a niche at something, or they find something that works. They want to hoard it and hold it to themselves. Like, I know it, you don't. Like, and that, to me, that's a selfish life to live. You know, it's not until you learn these things, and like she said, being amongst other like-minded couples, where we can literally value exchange. Hey, let me let you all the way into my world.
Yeah.
Let me get inside of your world, so we can find out how we can live in there, and we can have our own world at that point. We can create our own world that works, build our own economy and everything else when we understand how each other function, what we like, what you like, what I don't like, what I'm great at, what you're great at, and put it together. It just makes us more powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
Rather than you just sitting on a couch by yourselves, no, let's bring in some other people. Let's bring in some other couples. Let's do this together. Let's talk about our experiences, because the moment you realize that I'm not the only one going through this, that gives you power in itself.
Absolutely.
To know, like, now I have even more reasons why we have to overcome and conquer this, because we got another couple over here going through this too.
Absolutely.
So whoever gets to the resolve first can come back and share it. Now we're even more powerful because that's something else we've overcome. Right. Let's get to the next thing we need to overcome.
We were talking about that mindset shift because, and you talk about this more, because I wasn't raised that way, but you were, about keeping things to yourself. That's how you were raised.
Yeah.
No.
So what I tell people a lot is, especially us coming from the African American community compared to some other communities, we were brought up and raised like, you know, go to school, get your education, mind your business. Whatever goes on in our home stays in our home. Don't go mind nobody else's business. Don't let nobody in your business. Where other cultures were raised to get involved in each other's business. No, go over such and such house. Find out what their parents and what their family do. So for us, we didn't really get to learn how to build business relationships and network and things like that till we graduated from high school or college. Where other ethnicities, they were literally practicing networking as kids. So by the time they graduate high school or college, they already got a book bank of hundreds of people that they can now do business with. So the success is easier to grow when you already know how to network, rather than you being 19, 20 years old. Now you're just figuring out how to network. So obviously it's going to take you longer to become successful at business. So, you know, that's very important to make sure that as we raise our own kids, and as we're even in business, the people that we're bringing up in business behind us, that we show them the importance of doing that and getting involved in other people's business. That's what business is about. I
love it.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to find out what the problems are for you to service.
That's the same thing in the relationship. And as you were talking about relationship and us coming together as couples, it's not about, well, let's keep our issues here. How are we going to grow from that and be free from it? You know, you want to be successful. I want to know the hacks and the secrets and how is it working for y'all? Oh, well, we'll do it over here too. And kind of share that. But so oftentimes, it's like, no, what goes on here, it stays here. And it's like, well, you're not going to be freed from the issue unless you don't want to grow from it. Then it's up to you. But that's the importance of being around other like-minded, like-valued couples.
That's very important on many levels, because not only is it important to break out of that cultural stigma we have of what your business is keep it in the house,
like
right?
that.
That's exactly how we talk, right? But at the same token, Lovepreneur, I love it because we were taught not to tell people talk about money. Like what you make and what you do, you keep that to yourself. And for me, I've had the opposite, you know, I guess experience from doing the opposite of what my grandpa told us. Because, you know, they say don't tell what you make. When you talk about what you make, somebody then, especially, and this is the difference, especially when you're around like-minded people and people who have value for you, they care about you. Because if I say, let's just, you know, go out on them and say, oh, I make 30 grand a year, and everybody at the table make 100K, they're like, well, shit, how can we get you up here?
That's right.
Right? Because, you know, we feel, not like feel sorry, but it's like we feel like you should be with us because you're in our circle. We're going to do what we can to get you there, right? Hey, here's the contact. Call them. They got a job for you. You're going to partner with them and you'll make what we make. And that right there is such a different dynamic in our culture because once again, it's so shut off. So and I can't help you. And see, I'm in a position now where I can actually help people, right? And I want to know what you make. You know, I'll give you a story about my cameraman right now. You know, he can't, you know, I met him, really good guy, very good vibes. And he comes to me and he's like, man, I really love like our vibe together. Like I love to be able to work with you. and if I could just have one person that I work with instead of shooting for a lot of people. And I want to go, well, how's that work? Well, you know, do you want to do that?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. I was like, I'd love to have my own camera guy. And he goes, huh. I said, how much you make a year? He tells me, I go, I'll double it. You work for me now. And that's exactly how it went. And that, if he was afraid to tell me how much he makes, I really couldn't help him, right? And as a matter of fact, I would have been thinking I'm doing him a good deed because he's not telling me. He's like, oh, I give you this much. And he's like, well, I make more than that already, right? That was a thing that really hit me home because it's like, man, that man was open with me. I just met him, you know, a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, and he's like, no, like, he's sharing.
Absolutely.
And that key right there is what helps us to be able to build, because you never know who can help you through your situation.
That's right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that transparency is so important, which is why I love, you know, the concept of Lovepreneur and what you guys are doing, and you are using that platform to pour into other couples who are especially combining business with that. Because I do feel like you have to be vulnerable in that space. You know, you're putting yourselves out there, you may be putting your families out there, but then I think it's so amazing because you are sharing things that people can relate to that you probably didn't even know that they could relate to. So with you all, when did you all get to a point where, you know, you built this platform saying like, we want to share our story, we want to share what we're doing, and then reaching the point where like you are influencing so many people where it's like you went from I want to share to now we need to share. Like we need to, because people are relating, they're wanting to hear our story, they're wanting solutions, right? So like, when did you guys hit that point?
We talked about that this morning. So Neil, our guy, shout out to Neil DeVazil in Instagram. Neil's amazing. So we always had this privately. We had like this, what we call like the Black Card group, where it's just invite only. You know, we get together as couples and do fun things, travel, etc. You know, speak on things like this, partner in different business and ventures or whatever the case is. And we always kept it in-house. And it's important for us to do that because our net worth is our network, right? So, you know, if you're a millionaire and I'm a millionaire and there's another one that's a millionaire, now we can all invest in something more powerful than us, right? That's the bigger vision from
what we're talking about.
that's exactly what we're doing right now.
Right. And that's the point. Like, I know what kind of husband I have and the visions and the goals, and his mind is on 100, but our vision is so big that it can't be just us. There's no way. It's bigger than that. So it requires others as well, and everyone around us. And I want this for every family. What's important in a family dynamic is structure, stability, and finances. So if I can tell you can get those things, and this is how you're going to get that, and you increase your net worth, it's worth it to us. So I remember Neil saying, "Listen, I know you guys like protecting your space. I know. It was invite only. Don't you bring nobody else up in here. I don't know who that person is." You know, still that mindset. He was like, "I really need you to take this to social media. I mean, you're going to bless so many people." And it's like, that social media thing, you know. I'm very protective of my space. There's certain, you know, I'm here to protect my husband's heart, and he's here to protect mine. And I don't want him around just any man. You know, it's important that they're like-minded. And that was okay. And I said, you know what, fine. We'll open that up if it's going to be a blessing to others. And we know that, you know, you see this as just a family dynamic or just having the right girl or having the right man. But we're talking about your mindset shift. We're talking about exposing yourself from people you had no idea. I mean, the power of proximity and being around people that is like, wow, you be the smaller, you know, fish in the room. And just surround yourself, because if, like you mentioned, somebody's a millionaire, you're not that yet, but your whole entire team is, you already know where you're going. It's only but your time. So
and a lot of times it's those couples that their pride doesn't allow them to understand that. It's like, nah, I don't want to get up under them because of this or that, and it's like, well, you need to. What, you gonna be here next year? You gonna be here 2 years from now? You really can't afford not to, you know, in most cases. But we realized that there was enough couples that we were doing like one-on-ones with. It's like,
it's a lot of time too.
It started taking up a lot of time. So I was like, all right, this is where we really gotta draw the line and put it out where we can touch and reach more people. And I mean, honestly, we're just getting started. we're really just getting started. We got so much in store that we're gonna bring to the world. Like, everybody has a purpose here on earth. And although we have businesses outside of Lovepreneur, we understand that this is a space that everybody, doesn't see the value in because they don't understand it. And for those that do, that need help, if we just leave it at those two demographic of people, it's worth it to do it. You don't get car insurance after you have an accident. You get it prior to, you know? You don't turn your water on or your electric on after you move in a place. You set it up prior to. And so that's like what we try to make sure we project to everybody. Listen, this information, you may not even be on this level yet to understand the information, but you need to start getting it in your, one day, if your relationship or your business gets to this level, you will need it. So prepare for it. So when it comes, you're not stuck. You want to keep your vehicle driving, but you got to make sure you're continuing to put the right octane fuel in the tank.
I knew it was time to put it out there when I had that one last couple, and the man is such a visionary and like powerful, and it's like, why are you with this pigeon? Oh my God. You are so successful in these areas. You can't identify that it is a waste of time. There is no added value. So I'm thinking to myself, how many more women that are eagles or men that are eagles are out there just dating a whole bunch of pigeons, wasting their time, their valuable time. I said, you know what? No, I have to put it out there. And that's when the whole Vision Eagles came about, that video. That's something that people always remind me of. Stop dating these pigeons when you know you have eagle vision. Like, stop. You can't flock together. You've never seen an eagle walking around pigeon away on the floor with an eagle. It's just not happening. They don't fly together.
They soar.
They don't. They soar so high that they even have sex in the sky because they don't have time to go low. They just don't have the time. And if you know you're that person, please stop. Just,
Bars.
Bars.
Seriously.
That dynamic, I mean, understanding that, right? There's no way you're with a woman or man that's on a pigeon level and expect them to understand your vision from an eagle. They've never flown it. They can't fly that high. No matter how much you pour into them, they will never be able to fly as high as an eagle to understand what we need to sacrifice flying this high. How we need to budget our money flying this high. What we need to invest in flying this high. Right? And again, the dynamic, they're so in sync. Even when they mate, they're mating in the sky where everybody else underneath them looking up thinks that they're falling. But nah, it's the way they're flowing while they're mating.
The vibes.
You know what I'm saying?
I love that.
Levels.
That's dope. That's
levels.
Dope. Yeah, that speaks to me.
Absolutely.
That's dope. That's dope. Well, of course, we're gonna have y'all back. This is family.
I know.
So if y'all don't realize that.
Yes.
We'll put their information below because you definitely got to go check them out. You got any, closing words for the people?
So I think for me, closing words would be take advantage of the moment that you have right now. We all know tomorrow's not promised. Some of you may be going through it either in business or relationship based, and you're at a stuck point. Get your insurance now. The insurance that you're looking for. Don't wait till you have an accident. Don't wait till your business crashes or your relationship crashes to get the proper help. Get it now while it's available. Who knows what tomorrow brings, but right now you have the option, right? You can ignore it or you can do something about it. Get that insurance, protect your relationship, protect your business, and let's build success. Meet you at the banks and the beaches of the world. Let's go.
I love it. I love it. And look, he closed it out for me. You know what we say. Every successful person leaves clues. Pick up the breadcrumbs and follow us to the top, baby.
That's right.
We'll see you there.